The marketplace was loud, filled with the cries of traders, the shouts of buyers, and the clinking of alien coins. But tonight, the loudest voice belonged to one man, the slave trader. His heavy boots echoed on the wooden stage as he dragged a thin figure into the spotlight. A young alien girl stumbled forward, her wrists chained, her body covered with bruises. She could barely walk, yet the trader forced her to stand tall. The crowd of aliens burst into cruel laughter. Some pointed at her bent back, others shouted ugly words. To them she was nothing, less than nothing. "Look here," the trader yelled, raising her wrist like a trophy. "A broken slave, no strength, no beauty, no value. Just one bottle of liquor for this trash." The crowd roared with laughter again. They started throwing out low bids, mocking numbers, not because they wanted her, but because they enjoyed the joke. The girl lowered her head. She had learned long ago not to look at the faces in the crowd. Her eyes were empty, her spirit crushed. She had been beaten too many times, called worthless too many times. In her mind, she believed the trader's words. Maybe she truly was worth no more than a drink. But then, someone in the back of the crowd was watching her differently. Among the aliens stood a human. He was tall, dressed in worn clothes that spoke of travel and hardship. His eyes, however, were sharp and steady. He did not laugh. He did not mock. Instead, he studied the girl closely, as if searching for something others could not see. The trader shouted again, "Come now. One bottle of liquor, who will take her? She won't last a week anyway." "Half a bottle," one alien shouted, and the crowd roared in delight. "Give her to the dogs," another voice laughed. The trader grinned, enjoying the cruelty. He slammed his hand on the stage. "Sold. To the fool who pays in drink." But before the laughter could fade, a clear voice cut through the air. "I'll buy her," the human said. The marketplace went silent. Heads turned. Aliens stared at the human as if he had gone mad. No one paid real money for broken slaves, not when there were stronger, younger ones to be found. The trader blinked. "What did you say, human?" The human stepped forward, his boots steady on the dusty ground. His gaze never left the girl. "I'll buy her, not with liquor, with credits." Gasps ran through the crowd. Real credits? For her? It made no sense. The trader laughed nervously. "Credits? For this useless piece of trash? Human, you must be blind. She's worth less than the chain on her wrist." But the human's voice was calm, unshaken. "Name your price." The crowd whispered among themselves. Some thought the human was crazy, others thought he had strange tastes. But no one understood the truth. He had seen something they missed. The trader's greed flickered in his eyes. If the human was foolish enough to pay, why stop him? "Fine," the trader barked. 10 credits. For her broken bones, her wasted skin, and her empty eyes. 10 credits, and she's yours. Without hesitation, the human pulled a pouch from his belt. The sound of coins hitting the trader's hand silenced the crowd. The trader grinned wide. "She's yours then, human. Don't come crying when she dies tomorrow." The girl did not move. Her heart was frozen. Why would anyone pay for her? What did he want? She waited for the blow, for the cruel laugh, for the pain that always followed new ownership. But instead, the human knelt before her. His hand gently reached for the chain. "Stand, you're free from him now." Her eyes widened, confusion flashing for the first time in years. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not as trash, not as property, but as someone. The crowd began to murmur again, uneasy. Something felt wrong about this human. He was not like the others. The trader waved them away, stuffing the coins in his pocket. "Take her, fool. She'll bring you nothing but trouble." The human placed a steady hand on the girl's shoulder. His voice was low, meant only for her. "You're safe now. Whatever he called you, it's not true. I see more in you than they ever could." For the first time, her empty eyes blinked. A tiny spark, fragile but real, glimmered within them. The crowd laughed again, but softer now. Something about the human's calm strength unsettled them. The trader, still grinning, shouted one last insult. "A bottle of liquor would have been worth more, human. You'll regret this." But the human didn't answer. He led the girl away, step by step, through the silent crowd. Every alien watched them go, their mocking smiles fading into whispers. None of them knew it yet. But this small moment, the auction of shame, was only the beginning of something far greater. The marketplace had fallen quiet after the strange human walked away with the broken girl. But whispers chased him through the streets. Alien merchants muttered that he was a fool. Buyers laughed behind his back, and the slave trader clutched his pouch of credits, grinning at his luck. No one understood why he did it. No one except the human himself. He guided the girl slowly down the narrow street. Her steps were shaky, her body trembling. She had expected cruelty, the same cruelty she had always known. But the human did not strike her, did not yell, did not even pull her chain roughly. Instead, he walked beside her as if she was not a slave but a companion. When they reached the edge of the market, the human stopped. He turned toward her and knelt down, his face calm and steady. "What's your name?" he asked. The girl's lips trembled. She looked at the ground, her voice broken. I don't have one." The human's jaw tightened. A life without a name was worse than a life in chains. He stared at her for a long moment before speaking, again. "Then we will find you one, but first let's get you away from here." He unclipped the chain from her wrists. The sound of the lock snapping open echoed like thunder in her ears. Her hands fell free. She rubbed her bruised wrists in disbelief. You freed me?" she whispered. The human shook his head. "Not yet. But you will never belong to him again." For the first time in years, she felt air on her skin without chains cutting into it. She could not believe it. Her heart wanted to trust, but her mind screamed it was a trick. Humans were supposed to be harsh, weren't they? That's what the traders had said. That's what she had been told since the day she was captured. But this one was different. Behind them, voices rose again. A group of aliens had followed, curious and amused. They shouted insults. "Human, you paid credits for garbage," one laughed. "Give her back before she dies in your arms," another shouted. The human stood tall, placing himself between the girl and the crowd. His eyes hardened, his voice deep. "She is not garbage." The laughter grew louder. The crowd circled closer. They expected the human to be embarrassed, to throw the girl away and leave. But instead he faced them directly. "I saw more in her than you ever will," he said firmly. "You measure worth in bottles of liquor. I measure it in strength, in will, in what cannot be broken." The girl's eyes widened. No one had ever defended her. No one had ever spoken for her. The aliens hissed. One large reptilian creature stepped forward, his scales glittering under the lights. "Human, you are weak. Only fools waste money on slaves who cannot fight or work. Hand her over and maybe we'll let you go." The human's hand moved to the knife at his belt. He didn't draw it yet, but his stance shifted. Calm, steady, ready. His voice was like iron. "She is mine now. Try to take her, and you'll regret it." The crowd quieted for a moment. There was something in his tone, something dangerous. The reptilian creature snarled but did not move closer. The human's eyes promised a fight no one wanted. Slowly, the crowd broke into mutters again. Some spat on the ground. Others laughed bitterly, but they began to drift away. Only the reptilian alien lingered, glaring at the human before finally stepping back into the shadows. The girl clutched her freed wrist, staring up at the human in disbelief. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you protect me?" He looked down at her, his expression softer now. "Because someone has to." Those words struck her harder than any chain ever had. For years, no one had cared if she lived or died. And now this stranger, this human, was standing against a crowd for her. He guided her away from the marketplace and into the quieter streets of the city. The night was cold, the stars hidden behind thick clouds. They stopped near a small fire pit where he offered her a blanket and a piece of bread. She stared at the food, her hands trembling as she took it. Her lips brushed against the bread. Warmth filled her chest. It was the first real meal she had tasted in days. Tears slipped down her cheeks. The human watched quietly, not pushing her, not asking questions. Only after a long silence did he speak again. "Listen to me," he said. "The world has lied to you. They told you that you are worthless, broken, without value. But I saw your eyes. I saw you stand when they mocked you. You are not weak, you are not trash." Her voice cracked. "But I can't fight. I can't work. I can't—" "You can live," he interrupted, "and that is enough for now." The girl lowered her head, her tears dripping onto the bread in her hands. A storm raged inside her, fear, doubt, and something else she didn't recognize. Hope. That night, as the fire crackled softly, the girl looked at the human with new eyes. He had defied the traitor, the crowd, and even the threats of violence. He had paid real credits for her, not because she was useful, not because she was strong, but because he saw something worth saving. For the first time in her life, she began to wonder. Maybe she was worth more than one bottle of liquor after. Almu. The night was quiet, broken only by the crackle of the fire. The girl sat close to the warmth, her thin body wrapped in the rough blanket the human had given her. The bread was gone, eaten faster than she meant to, but the taste still lingered on her tongue. For the first time in years, her stomach did not ache with hunger, yet peace did not come easily. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the traitor's cruel grin, heard the crowd's laughter, and felt the sting of the chain on her skin. She trembled, expecting at any moment that the human would reveal his true nature, that this kindness was a trick, that he would soon hurt her like the others. But the human said nothing. He simply sat across from her, sharpening a small blade, his movements calm and steady. His silence was not heavy like the traitor's. It was gentle. Finally, the girl gathered courage to speak. Her voice was small, almost lost in the night. "Why?" The human looked up. "Why what? Why did you buy me?" she whispered, hugging the blanket tighter. "I am broken, useless. Everyone knows. You wasted your money." The human studied her carefully. His eyes were steady, not cruel, not mocking. "Do you believe that?" Her lips parted. The answer came quickly. "Yes." The human leaned forward. His voice was quiet but firm. "Then they've won. The traitor, the crowd, all those who called you worthless. They wanted you to believe it, and if you do, they've already chained you even without the iron." The girl's breath caught in her throat. She stared at him, her heart pounding. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever suggested that her pain was not her fault. She shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. "But I can't be fixed. My body, it doesn't work. I fall, I stumble, I can't fight, I can't—" The human interrupted gently. "You can breathe, you can think, you can feel. That's enough." His words were simple, but they struck something deep inside her. For years she had been told she was less than nothing. But this man, this human, looked at her and saw more. Her throat tightened. "I don't even have a name." The human paused, then he nodded slowly. "Then we'll give you one." Her eyes widened. She whispered, "A name?" "Yes," he said. "A name is the beginning of a story. If you have no name, you can't write your story. Let's change that." The girl pressed her hands together, her heart racing. A name. She had never dared to dream of one. The firelight danced in her wide eyes as the human thought for a moment. Then he said, "Hope, that's what I'll call you. Because as long as you live, there is hope." The girl gasped softly, her lips trembling around the word. "Hope." She repeated it again, tasting it like sweet water after a desert. Hope. For the first time, she felt like something new had been born inside her, fragile but alive. The human smiled faintly. Yes, that's who you are. Hope. A fragile warmth spread in her chest. For so long she had believed she was nothing, but now she had a name given not by cruelty, not by mockery, but by kindness. She pulled the blanket tighter, tears rolling down her cheeks. But these tears were different. They were not just pain, they were release. Still shadows lingered in her heart. She whispered again, "What if I fail you? What if I'm not worth it?" The human's gaze hardened, but not at her, at the world that had broken her. "Then we fail together. But listen to me, Hope. You will never be worth nothing again. Not as long as I breathe." The fire crackled louder, as if answering his vow. Hope lowered her head, but a small, trembling smile touched her lips. It felt strange on her face, like a forgotten memory returning. The night grew colder, and the human laid another log on the fire. He kept watch while Hope slowly drifted into sleep, her name echoing in her mind, her fragile hope fighting against the darkness that had lived inside her for so long. But while she slept, the city around them was not silent. In the shadows of the marketplace, the reptilian alien who had confronted the human earlier spoke in a low growl to the trader. "You let her go too cheap." The trader shrugged, shaking his pouch of credits. "She's worthless." The human was a fool. The reptilian's eyes glowed with a dangerous light. "You're wrong. I saw the markings on her skin. The human may not realize it yet, but she is not ordinary. If word spreads, others will come. And then, trader, your mistake will cost us all." The trader's grin faded. For the first time, doubt crept into his greedy heart. Far from their whispers, the human sat by the fire, his knife resting at his side, his eyes scanning the darkness. He knew danger was not far. He could feel the weight of it pressing against the night air. But when he looked at the sleeping girl, at Hope, his resolve hardened. Whatever storm was coming, he would face it. She was not just a broken slave anymore. She was Hope, and he would fight to protect her fragile spark, no matter what the galaxy thought she was worth. The first light of dawn painted the city in pale gold. Smoke curled above the market roofs, and the sound of merchants setting up their stalls filled the air. But far from the noise, in a quiet corner of the ruins where the human had chosen to rest, the girl, Hope, slowly woke. Her eyes blinked against the light. For a moment she panicked, expecting to find herself chained again, dragged before another crowd. But instead she saw the fire still burning low, the human sitting nearby, his back against a wall, his eyes closed but his hand resting on the knife at his belt. He had stayed awake most of the night, guarding, protecting. Hope sat up, clutching the blanket around her thin body. The name he had given her still echoed in her mind. Hope. Every time she thought of it, a small warmth pushed against the darkness inside her. The human opened one eye, noticing her movement. "You slept?" he said simply. I think so," she whispered. "For the first time in many nights." He nodded. "Good. You needed it." Hope hesitated, then asked softly, "Why do you care so much? You don't even know me." The human leaned forward, poking at the fire. His face was calm, but his voice carried weight. "Because no one else would. Because if I walked away like the rest, you would be lost forever. And I couldn't live with that." Her throat tightened. She wanted to believe him, but fear still whispered in her heart. As the morning grew, they packed their small things and began walking out of the city. The human wanted distance from the marketplace. He knew the trader's kind. Greed never slept. Long and once regret set in, men like him often tried to take back what they had sold. Hope walked beside him, her steps unsteady but stronger than before. The blanket hung over her shoulders, her bruises hidden beneath its folds. Every few moments she glanced up at him, studying his steady pace, the way he scanned the streets as though expecting danger. Then, as they passed through a narrow alley, something unexpected caught the human's eye. A mark, faded but still visible, burned into the skin at the back of Hope's neck. He froze. His hand rose instinctively, brushing the edge of the scar. She flinched at his touch, pulling away quickly. "What is it?" she asked, fear flashing in her voice. The human's eyes narrowed. He had seen such markings before. Sigils of old houses, bloodlines tied to forgotten power. They were rare, nearly extinct, thought to be wiped out by war and betrayal. "Who did this to you?" he asked quietly. Hope touched her neck, confused. "It was always there. The traitor said it was the mark of shame. He said it proved I belonged to no one." The human shook his head. "He lied. This isn't a mark of shame. This is a mark of blood. A house crest. It means you belong to a family, not to chains." Hope's eyes widened. "A family?" "Yes," he said firmly. "One far greater than any of those who mocked you." Her heart raced, but doubt rushed in. "No, it cannot be. I am nothing. Just a broken girl." "Stop," he cut in, his voice like iron. "You are more than what they told you. That mark proves it. And one day others will see it too." Hope's legs trembled. She sank against the wall, clutching the blanket tighter. "But if they see, won't they come for me?" The human looked down at her, his eyes steady. "Yes, they will, which is why we need to be ready." At that moment, a shadow fell over the alley. The reptilian alien from the market stepped forward, his scales glittering under the rising sun. Behind him, 2 more aliens followed, their weapons glinting in their hands. "I told the traitor you weren't just a fool," the reptilian hissed. His yellow eyes locked on Hope. "That girl is no ordinary slave. That mark on her skin, she is worth more than gold." Hope gasped, shrinking back. The human stepped in front of her, his knife drawn now, his stance unshaken. "You won't touch her," he said, his voice calm but filled with fire. The reptilian bared his teeth, amused but cautious. "You think you can stop us, human?" The second hunter tried to circle around, but the human's stance shifted smoothly. Every step he took was controlled, his body like iron. Hope's wide eyes followed him. For the first time, she realized he was fighting not just for survival but for her. The reptilian growled, "Enough! Kill him and take the girl!" But as they surged again, something unexpected happened. Hope's body pulsed brighter. She clutched, her chest gasping. The glowing lines spread further across her arms, and a wave of heat rippled through the alley. Loose stones rattled. A strange hum filled the air. The hunters froze mid-step. The reptilian's eyes widened. "No, she is awakening." The human glanced back at her, his jaw tightening. He spoke quickly, firm but gentle. "Hope, listen to me. Don't fight the feeling. Don't fear it. Let it guide you." Tears streamed down her face. "I don't understand." "You don't need to," he said. "Just trust it. Trust yourself." The reptilian hissed, sensing danger. He signaled his hunters to retreat, and slowly they backed away. Before leaving, the reptilian's voice echoed like a curse. "This is not over, human. You don't know what you've stolen. You've painted a target on your back. And hers. The ones who truly want her will come. And when they do, not even your defiance will save her." He vanished into the shadows, his hunters limping after him. The alley grew silent. Only the crackle of Hope's strange glow filled the air. Finally, the light dimmed, leaving her trembling on her knees. The human rushed to her side, steadying her with strong arms. "Breathe. You're safe now." She buried her face in his chest, sobbing. "What's happening to me? Why am I like this?" He held her firmly, his voice low. "Because you're not what they told you. You are not broken. You are powerful, and that frightens them." Her tears mixed with fear and confusion. "But if they come again? If more hunters come?" "Then we fight," he answered simply. His tone carried no doubt, only certainty. They left the alley, heading toward the outer gates of the city. The human knew they could not stay here. Whispers would spread fast. The traitor had likely already told others about the mark on her skin. Soon, bounty hunters, slavers, and worse would hunt them both. By the time night fell again, they had reached the edge of the wild plains. The city's lights glowed faintly in the distance, fading behind them. Hope sat by a small fire, her body wrapped in the blanket once more. She stared into the flames, replaying the reptilian's words in her mind. The human sat nearby, sharpening his blade again. His face was calm, but his eyes scanned the horizon, always alert. Finally, Hope spoke. "Why do you stay with me? You could leave. They wouldn't follow you then. You could be safe." The human looked up, his voice steady. "Because I chose this. I chose you." Her lips trembled. "But I'll only bring danger." He shook his head. "Danger comes to all of us. The difference is, you're worth the risk." Silence hung between them. The wind howled across the plains, carrying with it the scent of storms. For the first time, Hope looked at him not as a stranger, not as her savior, but as someone who truly believed in her. The fragile hope inside her grew stronger. Still, the reptilian's warning echoed in her ears. Others would come, more dangerous than hunters in an alley. She didn't understand her powers, her mark, or why she had been thrown away in the first place. But now she knew one thing: she was no longer alone. The human leaned closer to the fire. "Listen to me, Hope. From now on, we move carefully. We stay hidden, and when the time comes, you'll learn to use whatever strength lies inside you. Until then, you stay with me. Always." She nodded slowly, wiping the tears from her face. Fear was still there, but so was something else. A fire, a will to survive. The hunter's warning was clear: the galaxy would soon come searching. But Hope's fragile spark had begun to burn, and with the human by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. The wild plains stretched endlessly beneath the twin moons. Grass swayed in the cold wind, whispering like 1,000 voices. The human and Hope moved quietly, leaving the glow of the city far behind. Every step felt heavier, for both knew the reptilian's warning was no empty threat. Hope walked close, clutching the blanket tighter around her thin frame. Her body still remembered the strange glow that had burst from her veins. It had frightened her. She didn't understand it, yet deep inside, she felt that the power had always been there, waiting to be released. The human noticed her troubled silence. "You're thinking about what happened," he said gently. She nodded, her eyes on the ground. "I felt like fire was inside me. It wanted to break out, but I couldn't control it. What if I hurt you?" The human stopped and turned toward her. His gaze was steady, unshaken. "You won't hurt me. Power doesn't make you dangerous. Fear does. We'll learn to control it together." His words warmed her more than the blanket. Still, doubt lingered in her heart. By dawn, they reached a broken stone outpost long abandoned. The walls were cracked, vines crawling across its surface, but it offered shelter from the wind. Inside, Hope sat by the human as he lit a fire. For a long while, she simply watched him. His movements were careful, purposeful. He seemed unshakable, as if nothing could break him. Yet she wondered, what kind of man risked everything for someone like her? "Why?" she asked suddenly. The human looked up. "Why what? Why are you doing this? You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. Why protect me?" The firelight flickered across his face. He was silent for a moment before answering. "Because once I was like you, lost, broken, and someone saved me. They didn't ask why. They just did. Now it's my turn." Hope's chest tightened. His words cut through her doubts, settling deep in her heart. The human leaned closer, his voice firm. "Hope, listen. You carry something powerful inside you. That's why they want you, but power alone isn't enough. You need to learn who you are, and you need to fight for it. Not for me, not for them, for yourself." Her hands trembled in her lap. "But I don't know how." "Then we start small," he said. "Stand." She blinked, startled. "Now?" Now, slowly she rose, wobbling on her weak legs. The human stepped back, giving her space. "Close your eyes," he instructed. "Think about what you felt in the alley. That fire inside you, don't run from it, reach for it." Hope's breath quickened. Fear clawed at her chest, but she obeyed. She closed her eyes, remembering the glowing lines on her skin, the hum that had filled the air. At first, nothing happened. Then a faint warmth stirred in her chest. Her hands glowed softly, light seeping through her skin like molten gold. Her eyes flew open in shock. "I can't control it." "Breathe," the human said firmly. "Don't fight it. Guide it, like holding a flame in your hand." Her glow flared brighter, then dimmed as she forced herself to steady her breathing. The warmth settled, pulsing gently instead of raging. A tear slipped down her cheek. "I did it," the human nodded. "Yes, that's the beginning." She looked at him with wide eyes. For the first time, she felt something she never thought she would. Control. But the moment of peace was short. A sound echoed outside the HFY outpost, distant footsteps heavy and many. The human's head snapped toward the broken doorway. "They found us," he muttered. Hope's heart raced. "The hunters?" "Worse," he said grimly. "More of them." Through the cracks in the wall, Hope saw figures moving in the tall grass. Dozens, armed and armored, torches burned in their hands, their shadows stretching across the plain. The human rose, his knife ready, his body tense. "Stay behind me." Hope's fear returned, crashing over her fragile courage. But as the hunters' voices drew nearer, something inside her shifted. She couldn't just hide behind him forever. Not if she truly wanted to be Hope. The fire inside, her pulsed again, stronger this time. She stepped closer to the human, her glowing hands trembling but ready. "I'm not just broken anymore," she whispered. "If they come for us, I'll fight too." The human's eyes met hers. For a moment, pride flickered in his gaze. He placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "Then tonight," he said, "the galaxy will see what you're truly worth." The hunters' torches closed in, their voices rising like a storm. The ruined outpost shook with the sound of boots and weapons. Hope's fragile spark had become a flame, and soon it would burn brighter than anyone expected. The ruined outpost shook with the sound of boots. Torches lit the grasslands like fireflies, dozens of hunters moving closer with every step. Their voices echoed, cruel and eager, promising chains and punishment. Inside the broken walls, the human stood ready, his knife gleaming in the firelight. His shoulders were tense, but his eyes were calm, like a man who had already chosen his path. Beside him, Hope trembled, her glowing hands pressed against her chest. Fear raced through her veins, but this time it was not alone. Courage was there too, fragile, uncertain, but real. The human's voice was steady. "Hope, remember what you learned. Don't fight the fire. Guide it." Her lips quivered. "What, if I fail?" He looked at her, his eyes unshaken. "Then we fall together. But listen to me. You are not broken anymore. You are more than they ever dared to see. Show them." The first wave of hunters crashed through the broken doorway. Alien voices roared, weapons raised. The human moved like steel, slashing, striking, forcing them back. His every step was protection, his every motion a shield. Hope gasped, fear pressing down on her. But then the fire inside her rose again. Her skin lit up, golden lines spreading across her arms and chest. The air vibrated, a low hum shaking the stones beneath her feet. One hunter lunged toward her, snarling. Instinct took over. Hope raised her hand, and a burst of light exploded from her palm. The hunter was thrown back, crashing against the far wall with a cry. Silence followed, broken only by the crackle of energy around her. The human glanced back, a small, proud smile on his face. Good. The hunters hesitated now. Their laughter was gone, replaced by unease. The reptilian leader stepped forward, his scales glinting red under the torchlight. His voice was low, filled with hunger. She is the one, the lost bloodline. Do you fools not see? She is priceless. Take her alive. The hunters surged again. The human fought fiercely, his blade flashing like lightning. But for every enemy he struck down, more pressed forward. Hope's heart raced. She felt the heat inside her rising stronger than before. She thought of the chains, the laughter, the traitor's cruel voice calling her worthless. No, she whispered. Not anymore. The fire burst out of her, a storm of light and energy. Glowing veins spread across her skin, her eyes blazing like suns. The hunters staggered, shielding their faces as the power pushed them back. With trembling hands, she raised her arms. The light shot outward, a wave that rippled across the outpost. Walls cracked, stones split, and the hunters were thrown into the night. The reptilian leader roared, trying to press forward, but the human's knife met him first. The blade flashed once, and the reptilian fell to the ground, his eyes wide with disbelief. The field grew silent. The hunters who could still stand fled into the darkness, their torches scattering like dying stars. When it was over, Hope collapsed, to her knees gasping. Her glow dimmed, the power retreating back inside her. She stared at her trembling hands, terrified of what she had just done. The human knelt beside her, steadying her with his strong grip. "Look at me," he said firmly. Her eyes met his, filled with fear. I lost control. I could have destroyed everything. I could have— "You saved us," he interrupted. His voice was calm, certain. "You saved yourself. That's not destruction, Hope. That's strength." Tears spilled down her cheeks. She had lived her life believing she was worth less than a bottle of liquor, yet here she was, standing in the ruins of victory, hunters fleeing from her light. The human pulled her close, his voice soft now. "Do you see it? Do you understand? You are not broken. You are not trash. You are hope. And your worth is greater than all their gold combined." Her body shook, but her heart felt lighter than ever before. The name he had given her no longer felt fragile. It felt real. Together, they rose from the cracked stones of the outpost. The night sky stretched above them, wide and endless. The danger was not gone. Others would come, stronger, fiercer. But the girl who once believed she was worthless now stood taller. She was no longer just a slave, no longer just a victim. She was hope. The human placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and warm. "Whatever storm comes, we face it together." Hope nodded, her lips trembling into the faintest smile. Together. As the wind howled across the plains, carrying away the last echoes of the hunters' cries, a fire burned quietly in the ruins. Not just the fire of the outpost, but the fire inside her. The galaxy had seen her as nothing. But now, standing beside the human who saw her true worth, she knew the truth. She was not broken. She was not weak. She was hope, and she was priceless.